All right, so we've gone over the importance of awareness and to avoid a situation, but sometimes we can't necessarily do that. Now, you're in a phone booth or you're in a situation where somebody's coming after you and you have to defend yourself, and these are some of the things that we think are important.
Yes. All right. So the things that we know we're in a situation we're going to be attacked now. I want to keep distance from this guy, especially a guy like Gary. He's huge, he's strong. I want to be able to keep distance from him as much as possible. The first thing I've got to do, and it's just coming naturally, is I want to put my strong leg back. And what that does, it makes me a smaller target. If I'm squared up here with Gary, and I know he's mad at me, I know he wants to put me on the ground, I know he's coming to get me, he's got these angles to attack me a lot better when I'm squared up with him. So I want to just naturally just step back. And here I can turn and run easier. I can go at different angles easier. My hips are opened up to flee. And not only that, they're also open up to strike back, because that's one of the things that I think a lot of people do in a situation where they're being attacked is you've got to flip the script and be aggressive yourself a lot of times. If you panic, oh, this is happening to me or something like that, it's probably going to happen to you. Just like all the philosophy says, if you say you can't, you can't. If you say you can. Same kind of situation here. I open up my body and I'm ready to flee or fight, okay? So we want to keep distance if we can. There's a wall behind me. I'm not running anywhere. I've got to try and keep him away from me now, all right? The first thing that I want to strike the guy, okay? We don't want to grapple. The last thing you want to do is grapple with a guy like Gary Frazier. If I can strike him and maybe stun him just for a second, then I can flee. I can get away from the situation, whatever the attacker's like. So this opens up my space first off, just my stance. And then next, I've got to know the targets. The targets that I want to attack are right down the middle, okay? From the nose, the chin, the larynx, the breadbasket, and the stomach, the groin. All the most effective targets are right down the middle. If I come swinging at Gary like this, it's easier for him to block. It's a quicker strike right down the middle. It's more effective. If I were to hit Gary up here, it's not as strong. It's not as going to be as effective as if I hit him here in the nose, down the middle. Same thing here in the breadbasket. It'll fold over. Anybody that's not ready for that kind of shot, it'll put them over. Okay, right here in the breadbasket. So our targets are all right down the middle. That's where we want to strike. Now, ideally, we want to keep space. And our philosophy is always is to keep space. And so we want to strike our first strike to be a strike that keeps the most amount of distance between the attacker and ourselves. And that strike is what we call push kick. And it's just a simple kick like you're trying to knock down a door. I'm opened up, I got my strong leg back. I'm gonna bring my knee straight up. And then I'm just gonna try and push through this attacker. Boom. Now, the reason why we like this, because it does keep the distance. If I'm here, Gary can't reach me, my throat, my head, shirt, anything. Where most people grab it up here to control somebody, okay? Now, if I'm in here, he can reach out and get me. Okay, look, that closes the distance. So ideally, that is what we would like to do. And you know, again, with all these strikes and all these situations, the more you practice, the more effective you're gonna be. There's a lot of great gyms, just like Gary's, that can teach these things nightly and get you in good fit shape while you're learning how to defend yourself. Okay, so
and repetition too.
Repetition.
I can play out a situation in my mind. It might not go necessarily exactly how you played it out in your mind, but you're more prepared when you rehearse things in your mind that it's like practice, you know? I practice these things just in case I have to apply them. So if I do this once a month at a striking class or something, and then the situation occurs, are you more prepared than you were before? Yes, but if you're not doing it routinely, you're probably not going to be prepared as you need to be.
Yeah, there's all kinds of great punching bags and things that you can get, and even if you don't want to be around anyone, you want to work on yourself at home, that'll help you with these strikes and these different ways to get away. Again, so when we attack, when we go on the attack to try to defend ourselves and keep this this attacker away from us, again, we want to keep space. I want to be able to, boom, keep the distance. I'm pushing with the ball of my foot here. You know, that's what's going to give you more power at the end of that strike and a little more distance is when you're really pushing through, bam, more force on that strike. And that strike, again, we want to keep the distance, boom, and then go. And get out of the picture, get out of sight, get out of town. All right? The next strike that we teach, that we like to help in the classes that we do, is just the simple strike right up the groin, right up the crotch. And, you know, it's an effective strike also. Right up the crotch, of course, you know, everybody's probably have done it before growing up. It happens. But you're just going right up the middle. You want your shin to be the striking, not your foot. You know, things happen. Every situation is different. But ideally, you want your shin coming up, your toe pointed straight, and that shin, boom. It's the same motion. Again, Gary's going to demonstrate here in a minute, but it's the same motion. You're coming straight up, bam. And that's a little more distance, not as much distance as the push kick, but it's still right there, bam, be effective, and I can get out. I'm going to add to it, Gary.
I should have got it.
Yeah.
So, one of the main things to protect yourself is make sure your toe is pointed. Make sure my toe is pointed. I don't want my toe pointed up. You want the dancer toe, and just the same way you would kick a football or a soccer ball. When I go to strike, I want to lead with my knee, and extend my foot all the way out. So when I drive through this bag, I'm not trying to make contact and stop right here. It's like I'm trying to cut this bag in half or cut the person in half so it can be effective. So I'm going to drive up. I'm not going to go as hard as I can, but just drive up and make sure I come back to my stance. All right? Always finish back in your stance. This could be really effective if you catch somebody. So my hands here, and we'll show you some hand strikes here in a second. It's hard to just go right into a kick like this without somebody being able to avoid it. But if I add in some hand movements, like I'm in my stance here, and I show some feints up top and get them looking up here. So show a feint, and then come with the kick, that's going to be effective.
Yeah, even if you just have your hands up and you say, please stop, they're going to look at your hands, and that's going to give that second that you need to get right up into this kick.
So I'm showing my hands here. I'm not necessarily, hey, like trying to cower down, but I want to make sure my hands are up and I'm ready to strike if need be, and distract their attention here, or make sure they see my hands, and then go into my strike, and then come back to my stance. Always point your toe. If you don't point your toe and it's going straight up, then you're going to end up hurting yourself and damaging your toes or your foot.
All right, so those are the two basic strikes, leg strikes that we like to focus on. Again, these are all just basics. There's so much that you can learn in all these areas of leg strikes, hand strikes, grappling techniques, but we're just going over the basics right here. And for our philosophy, the quickest thing to get in and then get out and get out of the situation. Gary's now we're gonna work on going into some hand strikes.
So just let's talk about our punches real quick. I'll take this off for a second so you can see my hand clearly. There's a lot of gimmicky stuff that you'll see on YouTube or whatever it is, people trying to promote different things and recreate the wheel. The quickest the quickest is a straight line. We know that. The quickest way from point A to point B is a straight line. So I want to throw, one, I have to protect myself, so my hands are up. My hands are up here. I'm protecting my face, my chin if I have to. But from here, I want to go to a straight line. My hands are going to go to wherever my eyes are connected to. I'm not going to be able to look down and punch somebody in the face up here. So if I'm focusing on somebody's eyes or their nose or their chin or whatever my target is, that's where my hands are going to go. So I can't be looking right here trying to defend and swinging punches way up here. Okay? My hands are going to go where my eyes take it. So you want to, if I'm thinking about defending myself, I'm not worried about a jab. My lead hand is usually my weak hand, my strong hand, my dominant leg. That's the punch that I want to throw. That's where the power is coming from. I'm not trying to stand here and fight with somebody. I want to throw effective strikes so I can create distance and get away. So for me, that's my straight right hand, a straight right fist right down the middle. Whenever I throw it, it comes right from my chin, straight at my target, and it turns over at the end. Reason why it turns over, don't you put your hand straight out at me. Reason why it turns over, boom. When I make contact, I want these knuckles, these two knuckles lined up all the way to my shoulder. I've replaced my hand with my shoulder. So now, if he was to throw a strike back, it skims over my shoulder, I still can block my chin. Because this is a button. If somebody rocks your chin, it's probably gonna jar your brain and knock you out. So this is a straight punch right down the middle, boom. Lining up those two knuckles, lining up this bone all the way up to my shoulder, making sure I turn over my back foot. I don't want to stand here, stand up straight with my feet flat on the ground, hands here and go like this. I got no power. I can generate force from my hips, from my legs, so my legs being back. I can extend, I call it pushing into my target. I can extend into my target, whoosh, and then come right back to my stance. Always finishing in my stance. All right, so if I'm standing here flat-footed, not very athletic, remember what the coach talked about square, I can't put a whole lot of force into it. Now I don't know which one is my dominant hand, but if I get into a more athletic stance, my hands up, and I go to push into my target, boom, right there, that's what we want, right? Push into my target, keep my opposite hand up, come right back, ready to defend myself. Right, left.
Yeah. Right hand right here. And this time, get out. And then he gets out. And he can go. Those are some of the basic strikes that, again, we just want to strike him and get away. You don't want to fight him. You want to get out.